particularly for strength and strength and conditioning.
Mhm.
If before someone gets into like a fight, what's the main thing that you're looking at? Is it explosiveness? What is there a main criteria that you're like, okay, we gotta, or is it individualized for each fighter? I'm pretty sure it is, but then is there like one main thing that you're looking at? It's
Definitely.
like, biometrics, whatever.
It's definitely, every athlete has their own thing that they need to work on, and that is very individual. But I think for the sport, we're looking at repeat power. And so the ability to express force explosively and consistently. And so you don't want to gas out towards the end of the fight. Like, we want your first round to be your last round. So we want to be able to stay explosive, stay bouncy, stay sharp the entire fight. So your ability to sustain and repeat your explosive efforts is probably one of the biggest determining factors.
Now that, I'll never forget the quote. I think it was, I don't know if it was DC or something, saying in that Amanda Nunes fight when she lost her title for the first time to Cruz, he said that, I don't know if he said it, but then he said that exhaustion makes a coward out of all of us.
Ooh.
And that just, when you said that, I was like, I need more detail. Let's get to specifics because look, Marab goes to my gym, right?
Yeah.
Syndicate, or I go to his gym. You know what I mean? It's his
He
house.
goes to your gym.
He goes to my house. But anyway, he goes to Syndicate MMA, and he's the prime example.
Yeah.
Right? Sure, a lot of people account for like the genetics, right? He's just a full-blown machine. They call him the machine, and for good reason. But then, can you get more in detail of how you make fighters last? I mean, championship rounds, right?
Yeah.
Fourth and fifth round, they still have that first round endurance in their gas tank. How do you go about doing that? What's the most important aspect?
There's three major limiting factors usually to like cardio or cardiorespiratory endurance. And so we're looking at like skeletal muscle oxygenation. Do your muscles give out because the blood can't be delivered fast enough or cleared fast enough? Sometimes it's respiratory. So you're not able to maximize the oxygen that you're taking in and deliver it to the working muscles. And sometimes it's cardiac, like your heart just can't push enough blood to where it needs to go.
Is that genetic?
It starts genetic. You can train each of those things. And so certain things that we've seen is like lung volume, lung capacity, and like ventilatory thresholds, and where you're able to say, for instance, we have a fighter who went through our testing battery, and as the testing got harder, she took more breaths, and those more breaths she were taking were shorter and shorter and shorter. So she was working harder to deliver less oxygen to her body. So they went the wrong direction in both ways. So you want to be able to take consistent breaths that are actually maximizing the oxygen, because your body basically works on oxygen and macronutrient stuff too. But when you're trying to last, you're trying to deliver oxygen to your muscles, to your heart, through your lungs, into the rest of the body. So it's usually one of those three things that gives out. And if the muscles are giving out, then we can work on skeletal muscle oxygenation and create better muscle endurance for you. If it's a heart problem, then we can work on conditioning and energy system development that targets more of the heart and the pump ability, for lack of better words, of your heart. Or we can work on the respiration, the respiratory rate, and the recovery of your training, of your breathing, like between round recovery.
If I were to like sum up what you just said, all I hear is like respiratory, right? That's what sticks out to the common man.
Sure.
That doesn't really know about like the systems.
Yeah.
Would that deem to be true? Is it the respiratory, or do they have to be working all in sync, or is one more important than the other?
They definitely all work in sync. And I think depending on your genetic potential or how you fight or what training you've been exposed to, some guys will train a certain way. So one of those systems will be very developed and one of those systems might not be very developed. So it's either the muscles are the problem, the heart is the problem, or the lungs are the problem. And so with the testing that we go through, we can kind of look to see which one of those is the biggest problem, and we'll look to enhance that thing specifically.
Oh, fascinating. Dang. Yeah, so before, like say you have a new fighter that goes in there, right? What kind of analytics are you doing? Like what kind of maybe workouts in the beginning are you starting them off with to figure all that out, to structure the next time they come in and, all that?
Say a fighter's brand new, we typically would start with what we call like a return to training, or like an RTT phase, or like a general physical preparation phase. where the exercises are more, I would say, introductory, where you're kind of learning how to lift. You're learning the proper mechanics, you're learning the proper movement, and
range of motion type.
100% range of motion's included in there. And so you're kind of getting a familiarity with structured exercise. Some guys never train in their life. They don't know how to do a squat or a lunge or a press or a row or anything like that.
Even fighters.
Especially fighters.
That's kind of like wild to me, because these guys are what you think of UFC, right? It's kind of like the NBA compared to the D League. You know what I mean? It's like, wait a minute, these guys are on top of the top, at least for your average casual fan, right? It's like, dude, these guys are fighting at T-Mobile stadiums at the cream of the crop promotion.
Yeah.
You'd figure that they know a lot about their bodies and strength and conditioning.
Yes, but not so much in the traditional gym setting where it's structured and it's biomechanics and it's, proper positionings and stuff. They might go in there and rip some weights, but from what I've seen, and I used to work with NFL as well, like NFL they're gym rats, because as you go through school, you go through high school, college, and to get to the professional level, you have to be in the weight room. Like, it's indoctrinated into the sport. With fighters, it's not so much so, especially when you have those old school type coaches where it's just more fighting gets you better at fighting. You can't just say more football gets you better at football. It's you gotta be in the weight room. You gotta be big and strong so that you can take contact. And so from what I've seen, especially with fighters, is they're not typically gym rats. They're not typically in there doing squats and deadlifts and rows and a lot of these like traditional, more foundational lifts. They might do more plyometrics or more like ballistic type exercises that are a bit bouncier and faster. But as far as like the main structured lifts that are going to help increase your bone density, increase your like tissue strength, and create a more robust athlete, like your squats, your bench, your deadlift, that's typically what we're looking at starting these guys with. Variations, obviously. I'm not going to throw, a few 100 pounds on your back and make you do a squat right away, but the pattern of a squat, maybe with like a dumbbell or a kettlebell or something, and now you're learning the movement and the mechanic of a squat, and we progress you from a simple version of a squat to a more advanced version of a squat.
What would be like a simple version of a squat? Because I'm one of those guys that just squat. And yes, like one of those, used to play football in like high school. And you don't learn many variations of squats. Like
back
probably
squat.
Back squat, keep your posture up, look up, like, that kind of stuff. Flat foot, I don't know, And when I was training with you this Saturday, I think I learned more things in that 30 minutes or an hour than I did in the 4 years of like actually weightlifting.
Yeah,
right?
Totally. That's a great question. Yeah. So for us, like in the kinesiology world, it's like pattern based, right? So like squat is a movement pattern you can learn. I'll give them different movement patterns, and then I'll kind of show you different exercises per each. But you're looking at like a squat, a hinge, or like a deadlift type pattern. You have your horizontal push, your horizontal pull, your vertical push, your vertical pull, and then like some sort of lunge or rotation. And there's some variations in there, but essentially those are the major movement like patterns that you go through. And when I was going through school, it was train movements, not muscles. So, hey, we're going to train the squat type pattern, the lunge type pattern, the row type pattern, and then get more specific as you go. So for your question, like what's another kind of squat? I mean, you can do a goblet squat, which is where you hold the dumbbell up here. You can do squats where you're holding dumbbells down by your sides. If you have bad mobility in your ankles, you can put your wedges down or put your heels on a plate so you have better range of motion. So you can do like a full depth squat.
Right.
So you can do different implements. You can do an assisted where you're holding onto cables and do like a body weight squat. You can squat to a box. You can do a single leg squat. Then you can get into kind of different like lunge variations, which are pretty knee dominant and kind of squatty, but the lunge was its own movement.
Yeah.
So we'll leave the lunge
I mean,
there,
these things are so attention to detail now, right? Like we're
100%.
getting into like this. I mean, that's why it's the best of the best. It's like, now since we're at high level, stakes over here, it deserves high level attention to detail when it comes to strength and conditioning.
That's just the movement. And so once you've got the squat pattern down as a movement, now you can start looking at the different like contractile properties of the muscle. And so do I want you to do that thing slow? Do I want you to do it fast? Do I want you to pause and then go fast? Are we doing it really rapid? Have we added bands or chains or other implements to change the dynamic movement of the muscle and now stress a different portion of contraction? So you can play, once you've got the movement pattern down, you can start playing with how that muscle interacts with the movement and start training more specific strength qualities. If you want, I can detail our different strength qualities that we look at. But like what is strong? What does it mean to be strong? I mean, you got a guy with
Right.
1,000 pounds on his back is strong, but you also got a gymnast who can hold his body weight on rings, which is strong. Like they do two different things.
It's a different kind
but
of.
they're both strong. So
Exactly.
like, what is strength? What is strong? And how do you take that knowledge and apply it to a fighter? What does a fighter need? What is strong for a fighter?
And is that where we're getting more individualized with each person? Is that like, or are you focusing on all of what you just said on each fighter, but then taking one of those things and be like, okay, he's strong at that, so let's focus on that?